Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the distributive property as a way to kind of make math a little bit easier. Um, so you're going to need your dictionaries today because you're going to need to write down this. So the distributive property, multiplying a sum of the number is the same as multiplying each number in the sum that by number and adding the products. So I could take apart 18 into 10 and 8 and then multiply the 6 by the 10 part of 18 and then 6 by the 8 part of 18 and then add those together and get an answer. So we're going to try this a little bit. If you need more time to write it down, please pause the video to do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two problems and I'm going to rewrite them using the distributive property. So if I have 5 times 92, I'm going to break 92 apart. So I know that 90 is one part of it and I know 2 is another part of it. So I take my 5 times the 90 plus, and I have the 90, or the 5 times the 2. And that gives me the same answer as that problem. And sometimes it makes it a little bit easier to think about because I can go, okay, 5 times 90. 5 times 9 is 45, so 540, and then 5 times 2 is 10, so 540 plus 10 is 550. So looking at this problem, I'm like, there's no way I can do that in my head. But if I break it apart like this, it's a little bit easier to do. Now, 3 times 130. If I were to break that apart, I would have my 3 times 100, which would be 300. I'd have my 3 times 30, which would be 90, and my 3 times 0, which would be 0. So I just did this one in my head, 390, and you're done. So it's a way of going, okay, I can do this in my head versus having to look at it and kind of get freaked out and like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So now it's your turn to try it. Go ahead and stop the video and see what you come up with. Okay, so looking at this one, I have 8 times 250. So I'm going to break apart 250. So I have 8 times 200. I have 8 times 50, and then 8 times 0. And whenever I go about doing that, I find each individual part. So 8 times 200 will be 1,600, and I add that to 400, which is 8 times 50, to 0, and I get my answer of 2,000. With this one, I take and I break it apart. Now, oh my gosh, I got 2 digits, 2 digits. So what did I do with this one? Well, I did 40 times 60 because I can go 4 times 6 and then put the 2 zeros behind it, and 5 times 60, so 5 times 6 and put the 1 0 behind it, which would give me 2,400, 300, and 2,700 for my answer. Okay, now try this one. Go ahead and stop the video and try it out. Okay, so I need to break this apart. So I got 5,670 and 2. So I do 5,000 times 9. I do 600 times 9. I do 70 times 9. And I do 2 times 9. So that's the problem I'm going to go for. So if I take 5,000 times 9, that's going to give me 4,500, or 45,000. Then 600 times 9, so that's going to give me 5,400. Then 70 times 9, and that's going to give me 630. And 2 times 9, which is going to give me 18. I add those together, and I get 51,048. Okay, now try this one. Go ahead and stop the video and try it out. Okay, so if Lisa travels an average of 65 miles per hour, so I know the 65 is probably an important number, for 8 hours, I figured that 8 hours is probably going to be important. She will travel 8 times 65 miles. Rewrite this expression using the distributive property and find the product. Okay, so if I have 8 times 65, I can do 8 times 60 and 8 times 5, which would give me 480 and 40, respectively, which I could add together to get my 520. And Miss Miller, where is your label? So we're supposed to figure out how far she drove. So she drove 520 miles. Okay. All right. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be going to page 73 and you're going to be working on 9 through 21.